everybody? Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today I'm going to recap this past Saturday's Showtime Championship boxing card, which took place at the Barclays Center in New York. In the main event, we had Badou versus James DeGale in a 168-pound unification bout, and also on the main card we had Jose Pedraza defending his 130-pound title against Gervonta Davis. Now, if you watched our preview video with Rob and I, you know that we made the trip up to New York to watch this fight, be there live, and the reason we did was because on the Showtime Extreme portion of the card, someone from our hometown, someone who I've actually worked with and I'm very close to, Emmanuel Alim, fought Evgen Kitrov for the WBC silver middleweight title. So we were in the house, got a first-hand account of the action, and we're gonna bring that to you. But before I go into the main attraction, I do want to send a shout out to my boy Emmanuel because he pulled it off. He got a 6-round knockout against Kitrov in a very hard-fought battle that earned him a lot of respect in the arena from the fans. The emotion was incredible, and the reason this recap is coming to you so late is because I left my voice in the Barclays Arena that night, because not only were we crazy excited about Emmanuel's win, the entire card was great from top to bottom. So I have to give a shout out to Mayweather for putting together such a great card and all the people that was involved with that. So let's get into the fights on the main card. So first up, we're going to talk about Pedraza versus Davis. Now, in this fight, we had Gervonta Davis, who was having his first title fight at the age of 22. And if he won, he became the youngest title holder currently in the sport of boxing. And in Pedraza, we had a very technically sound, crisp switch hitter who had proven to be championship level. So in the preview video with Rob and I, it was mostly Rob, we spoke off camera, and then Rob had his thoughts on camera because we were unable to get together, as you know, with our recent changes going on. Rob has a new job. He moved to a different city. So now, instead of being an hour south of me, he's now an hour north of me. But the good news is that we have been able to hash out a concrete schedule, and we'll be able to bring you guys videos of us together the way it's been intended. And that's going to be coming up soon, starting next week, actually. So back to the fight. Rob said that Davis was going to be the harder puncher, and it was going to take Pedraza to get his jab established and to really test Davis, his gas tank, work the body, and hopefully see if he could gas out and he'd be able to take the fight in the deep waters. Now, we did not believe that that was going to happen, and we pictured a mid-round stoppage for Davis. That is what we got. So let's talk about how we got there. In the first round, Davis comes out. He tries to get his distance down. Pedraza's working his jab. He actually comes out in the southpaw stance to negate Davis's southpaw stance. And unfortunately, it did not seem to be working because Davis was very sharp and he threw everything with knockout intentions. It kind of reminded me of Oscar Valdez, Division South at featherweight. So he's able to land crisp, hard, showy punches. And even though Pedraza was working his jab and had it established, it wasn't enough to get Davis to back up or rethink his game plan, and he just continued to rain down hard blows on Pedraza, which he took very well. This went on for about 3 or 4 rounds. And then Davis's activity began to slow down and Pedraza's began to increase. But the power of Davis's punches did not decrease. So even though he wasn't throwing as much, he was still sharp and he was still landing hard shots when he did land. So that was very good on his part because it kept Pedraza honest even though he was working a lot. Davis was able to hurt Pedraza to the body, I believe, in the 7th round after Pedraza took a few rounds due to Davis's activity dropping. I believe the 5th and the 6th rounds Pedraza took based on great activity, accuracy, and landing more punches than Davis. So then he hurts Pedraza in the 7th round with a body shot, and going into the 8th round, he does not let him off the hook. He continues to land hard, crisp shots until he lands the vicious right hook that he brought all the way down from Baltimore back up to New York and puts Pedraza down, and the ref stops the fight. So Davis becomes the youngest title holder in the sport right now at the age of 22, and with Floyd Mayweather guiding his career, we can see him keeping that belt for a good little while as long as he can stay disciplined, which I believe he can do. He's got a good camp around him. The whole city is behind him. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the arena, it was absolutely bananas in there. It seemed like the whole city came out to support him, and every punch he threw, the crowd loved it, and they were just going off when he ended up taking the title. It was an amazing experience. So we'll see what happens next with both guys. Pedraza says he had a lot of trouble making weight. Maybe he moves up. He's pretty tall for the division. He's a big guy. He's almost, I think he's actually taller than Mayweather at about 5'8.5". So that's pretty tall for a 130-pounder. But he signed a contract to get to that weight, so he should have done what was necessary to get down to that weight comfortably. Maybe not balloon up so much. That's up for him and his team to decide. Let's move on to the main event. Now we had Badou Jack, who was the holder of the WBC 168-pound title, and James DeGale, who had the IBF 168-pound title, both coming in off of highly contested fights. Badou Jack versus Lucian Bute and James DeGale versus Rogelio Porky Medina. Both of those fights had pretty controversial endings, but they moved on to fight each other, and they gave us a spectacular performance as well. Like I said, all these fights were very good, very entertaining, and this was probably the highest display of skill that we saw all night between both guys. You could see that these guys were both A-level fighters, top of the division, and it showed in the craft that we saw in both fighters. DeGale used a lot of movement, and sometimes it was excessive, but he is known to do that. But he was able to use that movement in round 1 to get Jack coming in and then explode forward with a left hand, I believe, that was able to drop Badou Jack in the first round. Now, Rob said in the preview video that Badou Jack is very technically sound, which he is. He is very consistent, which he is. And that showed in the fight. He never really changed speeds. He was very within himself. And he was always constantly touching DeGale every time he got close. Whether it was with the jab, right hand, some kind of body shot. And he wanted that uppercut, some kind of bad, that right uppercut that took a few rounds to really get going. Sorry, my voice isn't 100% yet. I can still feel it a little bit. So if it cracks, my bad. Had a pretty exciting weekend. Back to the fights. DeGale was able to explode in and out with combinations, and something that we discussed in the pre-fight video was he takes rounds off, and he makes it very apparent that he's taking the rounds off. I believe in this fight, working with the strength and conditioning coach helped. Those spurts where he was inactive were a little bit fewer between, and he was able to explode a lot more with his combinations. But with the defense of Jack, he always had his hands at home, just like you're taught in the gym on day one, if you have a good coach. And Jack was able to punch in between the punches. Sometimes he was able to beat DeGale to the punch because of his fundamental hand placement, both right here. Straight punches, textbook hooks. It was really good work from Badou Jack. And as you can see, it was kind of reminiscent of the Meldrick Taylor Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. fight to me. Whereas you have one guy that's very flashy, throwing very noticeable combinations. And the other guy, it looks like, he's doing stuff, but it's not as flashy and effective looking as the faster guy. But as the fight goes on, the flashy guy's face is getting messed up. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's going on is that Badou Jack is constantly touching him with shots all night. And then you begin to see DeGale's mouthpiece fall out. Apparently, we learned after the fight that he injured his eardrum and he had his teeth knocked out. So Badou Jack hit him hard enough to cause significant damage to his face. And the consistent body work that he started in round one was paying dividends because James DeGale was slowing down incredibly as the fight goes on. Now in the last round, all of that body work and all of that touching finally paid off because he was able to drop DeGale and have him in serious trouble towards the end of the fight. To credit DeGale, he never gave up. He fought back even harder because he wanted to keep his belt and go home with Badou Jack's belt. So you have to give him credit for absolutely not giving up at any point of that fight and finishing strong against someone who was coming on just as strong. So, as we all know, the bout ends up in a draw. That's what Rob and I felt in the arena that it was going in the direction of, or whoever won the fight, it was going to be controversial. We picked DeGale in the preview video, and we said it'd be either a split or a controversial type of decision where a lot of people thought that maybe he lost the fight. We did get that, except we got a draw. Both guys keep their titles, and I just read that Badou Jack actually relinquished his title, and he's moving up to 175 pounds, which is something that they discussed before the fight anyway. So we probably won't get a rematch. So maybe DeGale fights for the vacant version of that WBC title in his next fight, whoever that may be. So credit to both guys for putting on an excellent fight, and we'll see what they have coming up next. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you give this video a like. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. You can hit us up on any of our social networks. Those links are down below as well. Facebook, Instagram, Google+. You name it, Capital of Combat, you'll find us. Also, if you haven't done so, click the bell down below and you can subscribe or hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and do that right now if you haven't done so yet. Thank you very much. All right. So, if you have any questions, you can hit us up in the comment section as well or on the social networks. We'll put you in the combat mailbag. We got some new technical toolboxes in the works for you guys. And we'll see you in the next video. Until then, fight on.
This is round won and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.